Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jane Warren Campbell. I've been bringing through light language since 2003. And in the collective tune up, I tune in to the mass consciousness of everyone on this planet and bring through light language that would best serve the evolution of our humanity at this time. Light language very quickly dissolves old programming and encodes new, higher frequencies into our field and into our DNA. So, thank you for listening and receiving to awaken you and all of us to our greatest potential. I truly appreciate your support of my channel. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe. As my channel grows, more and more people will be holding the upgraded frequencies that will support our evolution at this time. And your support for my channel makes a big impact, so thank you so much for that. And now let's move on to the light language activation tune-up for the collective. Hello, beautiful souls. I just connected in to see what wants to come forward for today's collective tune-up. And what I felt in the collective is a lot of feelings of loss and hardship. And of course, both of those are easy to understand. There's a lot of loss of life in the world right now, and many other losses with the inflation that's happening, which would also be contributing to the hardship that people are feeling. And I think for some people it's getting pretty scary, especially people who don't have a greater sense of the old world falling apart. We all have to go through that, however that looks. I feel the more we really focus on the world that we're choosing to be living in, the more we'll see that as our reality. But there's a lot of people who aren't aware of that, and they're paying attention to what's going on in the outside world and realizing deeply the impact of inflation upon their lives. And that's the sense that I got that the collective needs the most at this time. And of course, when we're bringing through light language and doing these tune-ups, and when you're adding your frequency to this as well, and just anchoring it into your own being by listening to this tune-up, we are helping people move through that hardship and that feeling of loss to have a different perspective on how everything is happening and to really restore hope that hope and understanding, I guess you could say, that this is the dissolving of the old world and it's just all the purging that we've been doing personally showing up in the outside world because everything has to be purged in order for us to step then into the new way of being that we're all searching for at this time. So thank you for joining me for this collective tune-up for loss and hardship. And I'll just tune in now and bring through the light language. Hushiatkia shayako siakana hahi shikayako satatakia sha. Maxiketa koshiayako sni kosni kosniata. Hishakwa e sakoki kaya toshia. Maxikata keshano takia sataka ashkanahatak isiki. Ushakwa ia kaya no sika sitaka shania kaya ho. Waksikia tataki ishakatak ashkanahatak isiki. So just meeting people where they are right now and seeing a lot of people very worried and very nervous about what's happening in the world. So we'll just dissolve that and then we'll anchor in the light codes that will bring in the new perspective and the knowing that we are creating with our thoughts in every moment. And so the more we realize this is the old falling away, but everything will find its way and we will be cared for, the more people can fall into that understanding, the less they will come back to this feeling of hardship and worry and concern. Not that it's not valid, because for many people it's very, very real. It's real for all of us. So I'm not diminishing those feelings at all. Just wanting to lift us up into a higher perspective so that more of us can begin living that way and that can come sooner in our reality. Ushakatakia naya kosiatakia shatika ashkanahatika asiki. Ushakaya no sikanatakia shai. Inanananui. Ananaya ho akane hai. Hashitakaya kosiaka kia natakia shataka ashkanahatik asiki. Ushakwa e takoshiaya kasania kasiataka ashkanahatik asiki. Ushakwa atiki anaya kosia kana hahashania kaya kosia. Maxikaya toshiakwa ikanatikia kashni kanatika asiki. Ushakwa aya ko nikiyata kikasatikia kaya so machiatikia kaya so nikia na. Maksei takoshiakwa ikanatika ishkanahatika asiki. Okay, I'm seeing a few things here that are a bit unexpected for me, but it makes perfect sense. I'm seeing people falling into this place of gratitude for what they do have and just looking around their own personal world. Like I saw someone looking at their child and just being so grateful that they have this beautiful child in their life, and people looking closer to their community and what they have. And of course, that gratitude then brings more of that into your experience. The more we're grateful for, the more the universe meets that frequency, and it brings higher frequency experiences into our lives. So that's really beautiful. And then I also saw people realizing that it's an opportunity to simply simplify their lives. So perhaps this inflation that means less available money for things that are more frivolous brings us back to that place where we come to understand what's really important in our lives, and that would be the people around us and the community that we live in, and having appreciation for that and realizing we don't need those other things that are a bit more frivolous or less important. So it's really it's so interesting that there's always that silver lining when we can have appreciation for what's happening, even when it's difficult, which is true mastery. Then we see the advantage and the opportunity of what's happening. It becomes a gift, not always an easy gift to move through or work through, or easy to get to the place where you see it as a gift. But once it becomes the gift and we see that, it's so much easier to shift through it. An example of this is during the lockdowns in COVID. I remember hearing on the radio about a woman who lived in a big city. She lived in Montreal, Canada, and she was very much a city person, and she would go out every day before this happened, before COVID, and just be lost in the hustle bustle of the city. And then when COVID happened and the streets were empty, she suddenly saw the nature, the flowers and the grass and everything that was behind the scenes that was always there. Suddenly she was noticing that and having deep appreciation for the natural world, which of course is our true nature, is connected to this natural world. So to me, that was the silver lining, one of the many that came about with COVID and the way people had to change their lifestyles. So we'll go back now to this beautiful feeling of gratitude and the difference that that's making, and we'll anchor in the codes that will bring this more fully into our beings. Hushanaya kosi atikia sha, hushakwa et koshi atikia kai. Hushakwa atikia kai no siki atikia shatika ashkana hatika esiki. Hushakwa atikia naya kosi atikia sha, maxikea koshi akwa I. Hashiatike kasoniki ha. Maxikaya toshiakwa I kanatika hashkanihi. Hushakwa e katanoa kisia. Hisikaya no shiatikia sa. See people telling their friends that they've stopped watching the news because it's simply too depressing, and they're just being more present in their lives, and how much better they're feeling, and how much more time they're spending with things that are more important to them, their family, their friends, their children, their hobbies, their activities. Hushanatkia kaya so tikia, mashiatkia kaya so, hatakia kaya no shataka, maxikia kaya so tikinia katikia sha. Ishakwa etako shiakwa e. Hashania kaya so tikia shataka ashkanatik esiki. Ushakwa anakia kaya so tikia shashi tikaya ko siatikia shatak ashkanatik esiki. So now another surprise is having compassion for the people who, um, because this is not dismissive of people who really are suffering and there's just no alternative to that. It's having a wise level of compassion where you don't get lost in the despair of what others are going through, because that doesn't serve anyone. We're just putting that negative frequency of despair upon people who are already suffering. So to me, compassion is really just caring for people who are going through that, but from a more detached way of being and understanding. I also recently, I may have shared this already, was listening to a quantum hypnosis where the woman was taken to a place between lifetimes, and basically what was happening was she was in this resting place because she needed to be pulled out of this lifetime. So she was going into the future. She had been pulled out of this current lifetime because if she had stayed, she was going down, just to put it in easier terms, the wrong path, a path that would actually lead to the de-evolution of her soul. And so her soul decided to leave this lifetime so that she could go in this resting place and not have to pay the consequences of her soul actually devolving. So that is just to say, to have compassion for people, but we don't know the big picture. The big picture is always serving our highest good. And we can't see that from our own perspective. And we put our own thoughts onto what other people are going through. And so true compassion to me is having caring, but not getting lost in it and not feeling the despair of others, which then only grows despair because now we are in despair also. I hope this all makes sense. So I'll just finish this up now. It's really a very beautiful activation with all that's coming through and all this awareness that's coming through and this compassionate understanding and also our own personal deep levels of gratitude that is leading to simplicity in our lives. Hushikaya no tikia shatiki ish kanahatik esiki. Hushakwa e tako shikai. Husakaya no saka. Tiachikia nayakosia maksikia tatiki e. Shatikaya osia tikia sha tikia sa sia na. So much gratitude for the light language and its wisdom that comes through me, and for you for being present. And I just want to let you know that I do offer personal light language sessions. They're very powerful. I have 1 hour sessions on my website, but if you'd prefer a half-hour session, just email me and let me know, and we can make arrangements for that as well. It does work very fast. And stay tuned for the next Light Language Collective, and I will see you soon.